And here we are, and yes, we are live. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And let me see, a happy Thanksgiving. I'm sure we're still waiting for people to come on, but it is Thursday morning. Our show is The Spirit Royalty is All, as so many of you already know. And but what a lot of you overseas don't know is today for the American people, it is a special day. It is a day of Thanksgiving. And I've forgotten what the date is. What is it, Chris? 20 something of 20.
24th.
There you are. It's the 20, and it is the 24th of November. Oh my golly. We've only got 1 month exactly, right? To Christmas Eve, which is the 24th of December. Wow. How on earth did we get to Christmas Eve? How on earth did we get this far into the year without even, it seems, without even trying so hard? So, anyway, before we begin, first of all, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Gregor, who, as always, is standing to my right side. And, of course, good morning to Chris. And now, where could Chris be, I wonder?
I'm in
Wow.
a place that's warm and 74 degrees and partly cloudy.
With a crackling fire in the background and the smell of roasted vegetables coming from the kitchen. Gosh, it smells good. Can you smell it, Chris?
Oh, it's fabulous. I imagine everybody else in the US who is able to partake of this holiday has got something similar happening.
I'll bet kitchens all across America are filled with good smells. Anyway, so Chris, let me ask you: is there anybody there?
Yeah, I think there are people still logging on. Dee's saying good morning and happy Thanksgiving. So
Morning.
we'd love it if people popped in the chat room and let us know
Yes,
that you're here.
yes. Can you please let us pop into the chat room? Chat room. Give us a little sign. Anything you like, whatever. But we'd love to know where you're from or where you're calling from, because I know that in Canada, I know we have a lot of people coming in from Canada. It isn't. They had their Thanksgiving. I think it was a month ago in October. In England, we have a similar thing, although we call it Harvest Festival, which we celebrate sometime around the end of September when the harvest is being reaped. And I'm sure that people all over the world have their own celebrations about, I guess it's about the harvest, it's about nature, it's about how nature gives us all the food that we need. Let's not forget the farmers who have to plough the fields, though. Let's not forget the farmers who have to get in the hay and milk the cows and feed the goats and do all those other things that farmers have to do in order to put food on our table. Um, in my oven, I've got some big, fat, delicious looking, juicy parsnips and carrots and onions, and we've wrapped them all in oil, olive oil, good olive oil from Italy, I might tell you, really good olive oil, and a little salt over the top, and they are cooking in the oven even as we speak, because I have to take them I'm not eating at my house, I'm eating at a friend's house. So we have to take them when they're done. We have to take them uh, to my lovely neighbour and friend Mary Lou, who many of you have met or have heard chatting with us on our shows from time to time. And of course, I haven't told you the best thing. The best thing. Well, maybe, if you don't like chocolate, this would not be the best thing. If you don't like chocolate, I don't think, Chris, you don't like chocolate, do you, Chris? So this is not the best thing for you. But there is the most delicious, delicious tort. Now, some people refer to a tort that is, it's not yeah, maybe you're thinking of a legal tort. No, it's not a legal tort. Uh, Let me see, what is it? It's spelled Torte. Some people consider it to be a sort of a cake or a gâteau thing. And some people, like myself, we consider it to be sort of an upgrade of a tart or a flan. Anyway, whatever it is, it's delicious and chocolatey and extremely decadent. And it has been requested by my host for the day, and her daughter and husband and the entire family. They were so great during the hurricane. This family came into my pool area. They yanked out palm leaves. For those of you who don't know, palm leaves are really, really very, very heavy. One palm leaf, one person could probably not lift a palm leaf, unless, of course, you're a very strong muscle man. It took 3 or 4 people to haul out all the palm trees that came crashing through my pool cage. They cleaned up, they swept up, they did so much for me during the hurricane. They taped up a window for me that had blown through. And that could be my daughter, but you know what? We're ignoring her completely for now, anyway. And we hope she'll go away in a minute. And I said to them when I came back, and I was so grateful for what they'd done and how they'd helped me through the hurricane. And I said, "What can I do?" And in unison, without even discussing it with each other, they just said, "The taught." So here we are. I'm taking it over there today for everybody to enjoy. And I'm hoping I might be able to bring at least one piece back. Chris doesn't like it. So, do you, Chris?
I would just say if I have a choice of chocolate or vanilla, I'm always going vanilla. It's not that I dislike chocolate, it's just not my favorite.
Oh, I thought you said you didn't like chocolate. You see, what do I know then? Anyway, I'm certainly going to try if I can to bring a little piece back for me. And, maybe Chris and I will fight over it later. But anyway, so yes, you got it. Chris is here with me in Florida, and we're both going over to Mary Lou's for Thanksgiving. So, all right. So I think that you all should have settled in. I want to remember, we're only doing this today for as long as you keep me going. Questions, comments, all of that stuff in the chat room. I'll stay with you. But the minute it goes quiet, I'm off because I've got things to do, people. Just like you guys have got things to do too. I'm hoping that you've got your computer or your iPad or whatever it is you're watching on. I'm hoping you got in the kitchen, and even as I'm talking to you, you're baking up a storm, or do you have the turkey in yet? No. I have a lovely friend of mine who called me the other day, and he said, "I don't know quite what to do, Rosemary. I'm in charge of the turkey, and I've never cooked a turkey." So I said to him, "What you have to remember with the turkey is it's 15 minutes a pound and 15 minutes over." Have you all got that? That's my tip for today. If you cook a turkey for longer than 15 minutes a pound, you end up with a very dry, very horrible tasting turkey. If you cook it for less than 15 minutes, you're going to end up with a bloody turkey. So 15 minutes a pound. I'll help you out. If your turkey is 10 pounds, that means you cook it for 2 hours and 45 minutes. 15 minutes a pound plus 15 minutes extra. You put it in the oven. You let the oven brown the skin. Then you get a piece of foil for about half an hour or so. You get a piece of foil and you lay it over the top of the turkey so the turkey doesn't get black and burn the skin. And then about 45 minutes or so before you're going to take it out, pull that foil. Don't wrap it in foil. Just lay the foil on the top of the skin so it doesn't get scorched or burned. And then just take it off. Let it crisp up and brown over, and you've got the perfect turkey. How do I know this? How do I know that this is how you should cook a turkey? Because years and years and so many years ago, when my daddy was alive, going back a long time, and he's been gone for well over 40 years now, he taught me the secret of the perfect turkey. Of course, you can do other things with turkey. I know people say turn it this way and then turn it that way, just like you do when you're cooking a duck, but there's no need to if you know what you're doing. The oven temperature, I'm hearing somebody say to me, "What's the oven temperature?" The oven temperature should be 350 degrees Fahrenheit. For those of you in England, I have no clue, but do the conversion. It's an easy thing to do. Right. if you've got tips about how you're cooking your turkey, or you want to tell us what you're cooking for Thanksgiving, put it in the chat room, because this is Thanksgiving Day, so we want a Thanksgiving show. So put it in the chat room. Of course, there are lots of other ways. If you lift the skin of a turkey very gently and put your hand inside it, you can lather the breast with butter. Of course, that's another way. Or you can make some delicious cranberry sauce and shove that under the breast. And there's lots of things to do with turkey. But the basic recipe always works. You will never fail with it, and it will be, I promise you, absolutely delicious. Chris, how are we doing?
Well, we mostly have Happy Turkey Day and Happy Thanksgiving Day greetings from everybody. I do
Okay.
not have a question or a comment as yet,
Okay.
except for Deborah's. Deborah's saying to you, Rosemary, you are absolutely glowing today.
Oh, good. It's the oven. I've had my head in the oven, my darling, and the steam and everything. And it's like, I opened the oven door earlier, and it was like, woof, the whole smell of the vegetables and the the sort of the steam from the vegetables were delicious. So you're probably seeing a slight flush to my skin. It's, trust me, it's the oven.
Annika says, in my home country, the Netherlands, we don't celebrate Thanksgiving. It's still not really a holiday to me, but my daughter invited me to her house to have a celebration.
Oh, right. What kind of a celebration? And are you celebrating something else? So, that's interesting. Um, and where does your daughter live, in the States, or does she live in the Netherlands? We need to know these things. Where are you going, and are you going to someone's house for Thanksgiving? I'm not cooking for Thanksgiving because I'm going to tell you all the truth. Are you ready for a confession from me? Are you ready? I do not celebrate Thanksgiving. I'm British. I've got no reason to celebrate Thanksgiving. I do like, if especially if I'm in England, I like to celebrate the Harvest Festival. We always celebrated as kids. We always celebrated. We made a point when the harvests were gathered in. We had those incredible, beautiful first loaves from the new wheat that had been harvested. And what we used to do is we used to, make up boxes, take them out to the elderly, take them out to people living on their own. It was a way of showing gratitude. And yes, and of course, it's a bit like Christmas, isn't it? Thanksgiving, we try to do all the right things, we try to say all the right things. Uh, Unfortunately, especially with Christmas, it's love and it's light and it's happiness, and there's all those things for 5 minutes, and then we go back to how we normally are. I am normally love and light and Thanksgiving, but this morning I said to Chris, let's forget Thanksgiving. Let's just be selfish. It's all about me. Not really, but you know what I'm saying. But yes, it is these holidays and these times that we can get together with family, and the times that we can get together and cook special things for other people, and make delicious food for other people. They're the times that we can, be thankful that we have friends, and be thankful that we have, the ability and the capability, the finances, and so on, uh, to make good food and to take good food to our neighbours. Yesterday, I made a whole rack of ribs, mashed potatoes, and baked beans, country style, with bacon in them and all that sort of thing. Anyway, and I made that because my lovely neighbour next door, his wife went home to Jersey, and wherever it is she lives, and he was all by himself yesterday. He's going to a friend's for Thanksgiving today. Otherwise, we'd have done something together. But I made him some ribs. He's always making me dinner, and he's always doing things for me. He's always fixing my pool. He's always doing stuff like that for me. So every now and again, I just like to show my thanks and my appreciation. So yesterday we sat and ate ribs and baked beans and mashed potatoes, and he really loves my mashed potatoes. I don't know what to tell you about them, but anyway, very simple meal. but very delicious meal. So, I always urge people, especially around any kind of a holiday, um, always take note of your neighbours. Make sure that if there's a neighbour who's by themselves, for instance, just go over and check. Are you doing anything? Do you have anywhere to go? That sort of thing. You can do it in a way that is, sort of not too invasive. And it's always good to invite people to your house. And if you, for some reason or another, can't do that, you don't have to wait for Thanksgiving. You don't have to wait for Christmas. As I said yesterday, I took food over to my lovely neighbour, and he's always he'll call me up out of the blue. It's at least 2 or 3 times every in a week. I've got the grill on. Come on over, darling. He says, "Come on over, darling," and and he'll he'll make me whatever he's made for himself. So there are always ways that you can help people, even if you don't know them that well. But cook a batch of cookies, or you know, take take over ribs like I did yesterday. Just if we can do that, and if we can do that, not necessarily through a holiday, but if we can make it, our lives that way, helping people when we can, sharing a little bit of ourselves when we can. I think that's always a great, great thing to do. Right, Chris, if there aren't any comments or questions in the chat room, we're done. So, how are we doing?
Gary says, "Happy Thanksgiving, Rosemary.
My darling.
I can smell your kitchen from here, sitting by the fire."
Well, let me tell you, you've been in my kitchen a lot over the years. I do miss you. And I thought about you just yesterday because, getting back to my neighbour, he brought out of his fridge the most fabulous lamb shanks. Do you remember my lamb shanks, Gary? And a few months ago, my neighbour said to me, "Rosemary, can you make osso buku?" And I said, "Sure, I can." And he was sort of surprised because he expected me to say to him, "What is that?" Lamb shanks. It's basically lamb shanks and delicious stuff. But I used to make these lamb shanks, especially for you, Gary, if you remember. And up at the farm, can you remember when I would cook them and they would, oh God, wouldn't they be delicious? Do you remember that? Let me know if you remember that. Keep going, Chris.
Julie says, "Hello, all." Julie's from the
Hi.
UK.
Hi.
"I'm making a date, toffee, and cardamom cake shortly. I've not made it before, so fingers crossed it's good."
Well, if it is, can I have the recipe? I love dates. Dates are one of my favorite fruits. I absolutely love them. I love figs as well, but they're not so healthy for me, figs, unfortunately. But dates, you know, my mother loved dates, and every Christmas she would buy herself a box of dates, and she would sit and eat them. And on an odd occasion, if it was just she and I sitting there, I'd actually get to share. She'd give me a date from her big box of dates, and I maybe have 1 or 2 dates, and they were always for me a very special thing because I rarely got them, and they were always around Christmas time, and oh, I do love them. And you know how I love to eat dates? I love to fill dates with marzipan. I'm going to be making my marzipan this week, everybody. Maybe we'll film it and show you how to make marzipan. Now, yeah, uh, what do you have here? You have frangipan, which is a soft form. It's not really marzipan. Marzipan that I make, I always use to cover my Christmas cake. Those of you who've watched me on YouTube making and decorating my Christmas cake with my darling boy, you'll know it's sort of, I use it more like a fondant, but Reese loves it because he makes things from it. He'll make little animals out of it, or he'll make fruit out of it, and then we paint them with food coloring, and we get very sticky and very messy, but we have a lot of fun with our marzipan. So I'm going to make my marzipan this week. I'm going to freeze it, put it in the freezer, and then I'm going to take it with me when I go to New York. So we'll have a lot of fun with that. And I have a special recipe for marzipan. I make my marzipan the old way, just as the Germans used to do years and years and years and years ago. Right, Chris.
Eric is sending you a happy Thanksgiving.
My darling, happy Thanksgiving.
Rhonda says, I make an oyster stuffing and it smells so good in my home right now.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Oh, nice. We want these recipes. We really do.
Deborah says, I put some apple, onion, and celery leaves under the breast skin with a bit of seasoning. It makes for a tasty bird.
Yeah, I'll bet. I'll bet. I use cranberry, or sometimes I'll use stuffing. If you really want to do something, you've got to be very careful. Turkey skin is quite actually, it's fairly tough, but it's still a little bit fragile. So when you have to just ease it away from the breast, and eventually, gently and slowly, you can get your hand underneath, and you've got the skin, which actually goes over your hand, and you sort of got then you've got that space to stuff the bird with whatever you want to stuff it with. And cranberry sauce is well, not sauce, but cranberry mixture is also good under there too. Yeah, I mean cranberry goes really well with turkey because natural foods in natural environment, wild turkeys eat any kind of a berry, so they're always good to go together to pair together.
All right, Mary says, my 11-year-old son has a lot of anxiety and has been asking many anxiety driven questions. Do you or Gray Eagle know what it could be?
Well, I think that it's the same with most boys of that age. They're sort of they're growing up. Hormones kick in a little bit. They have extra stress at school. There are so many number of things. In order to get to the real root of your son, if he has a particular problem, we need more time than we have on this show. But first of all, I would go into what's going on with him at school. Is he? Are any kids giving him a hard time? Is his teacher giving him a hard time? Because sometimes you get teachers who are most teachers are fantastic, but occasionally you might get a rotten apple. So just check that out. You know, if he's what did she say? 11. He's 11 years old. I'm hoping that you have a good relationship with him and a good rapport with him. So why don't you just sit down with him and ask him the right questions and let him talk to you and let him confide things in you. I'd start with school. I'd start with issues at school and his friends at school, and just get him to talk to you and let him know that he can trust you. You're not going to go and tell everybody else this is what's going on with him. It's just between the two of you, Chris.
Vicky says, my father thought he would be clever and rear his own turkey. Weeks were spent rearing and fattening. The
Oops.
time came and the deed was done.
Oh,
He was so proud until it was time to put in the oven. It was far too big. No
oh
way
no.
was it going to fit. So his poor wife had to hack it to cook. Oh, did we laugh?
Oh, don't laugh. That poor man. I thought you were going to say to me that he reared it and he was gentle with it and all the rest of it. And then when it came to killing the thing, he couldn't kill it. That's what I thought you were going to tell me. I was telling my neighbour just yesterday, we were talking about turkey, and he was telling me that he likes to smoke his turkey. And I asked him, have you ever eaten wild turkey? And I told him this story of somebody turning up on my doorstep with wild turkey for Christmas. So we had a wild turkey, and we also had a bought farm, I guess, farm raised turkey. Um, and Of course, the wild turkey was brought to me, feathers and all, feathers, gullet, you name it, everything. It wasn't dressed. It wasn't. So I remember sitting, and this was a huge turkey. I can remember sitting and plucking this thing. Yes, I am a good turkey plucker. I'm a good bird plucker. I sit there. Usually I like to do it outside. When I was in Vermont, I used to go take the birds. Sometimes I had 4 or 5 of them at a time, sometimes more. If it was pheasant season or if it was grouse season, people would bring the turkey to me and ask me, can you pluck it and cook it? So I sit by the river and pluck away and pluck away, and I like to do things like that. I know some of you are horrified, aren't you? How could you do that? How could you eat meat, Rosemary? How could you possibly do that? And but you know, I was brought up by my father, who he would gut a fish so quickly and so easily, and of course he used to gut it in water. So all the blood and the gore and the guts would go into the water, and then he'd bring the fish out and rinse it off, and there you are, perfect fish to cook. I know. I'm sort of a weird person, aren't I? Who would imagine this frail little English woman could gut a fish easily or pluck a turkey? Keep going, Chris.
Eric says, you've taught us how to meditate. How do you pray? Is the way you do like the native people? They feel and experience their prayers with emotion?
Well, yes. If you're talking to God, or if you're talking to your angels, if you're just talking to your loved ones in the spirit world, that's a form of prayer. And I think in order to, if you want to be heard, I think you have to do it with a certain reverence, a certain amount of reverence, and you're hoping that you're being heard. And I always feel sure that I am being heard. One of the many trillions of people are being heard, but nevertheless, each voice, I believe each voice is heard. And, sometimes we have to wait for our prayers to be answered. Sometimes they don't ever seem to be answered, but, I don't know that I do anything other than talk to God, really. Just, hi, how you doing, so to speak. I mean, it's so natural to me. I don't even have to think about it. Maybe I'll ponder on that later. Keep going, Chris.
Annika's responding, saying, we are going to have a lavish Thanksgiving celebration because my daughter loves to cook. We have been living in the US for 24 years now, so
Okay.
for my kids, it is Thanksgiving.
Yes, of course it is. Yeah.
And they live in Connecticut, but she will still have to drive an hour and a half.
Oh, all right. Well, uh, what you need to do is when you get there, you need to join in with the fun, eat the food, and then hopefully they'll put you up. They'll give you a nice bed to sleep in, a nice room to sleep in. They'll put you up, and you can snuggle down and thoroughly enjoy being with your family. I hope they're not going to make you drive there and back in a day. Uh, and it may well be that you're just being stubborn and saying, no, it's okay, I can do this. But you should take the most delight you possibly can with your family and enjoy them while you can. Life is so short. We never know, we never know when we're going to get another chance.
Angie Pez says, that's so true. We should appreciate each other.
Absolutely.
Joanne's saying hello from Toronto.
Hi,
Uh,
from Toronto. It's not Thanksgiving for you, is it, my darling?
Medi Monheim says, blessed Thanksgiving to everyone. May it be a very happy one where everybody puts their problems aside.
It is hard, isn't it? Sometimes people do have problems, people do have wishes and hopes and longings, and some people are going through an awful time and so on. But uh, I think we can find solace in our families or with our friends or however we're spending our holidays. I think we can find solace with the people that we're with, and it is good, to set aside the worries for the even if it's not for the whole day. It is good, I think, to set aside the worries, especially while you're all sitting around the table and you're eating and you're laughing and you're enjoying. And that's what Thanksgiving is all about, finding and thinking of the good things that we have and the joy that we have. Because no matter how difficult we find life, no matter how difficult we are finding life, we can always find those moments of joy, those moments of happiness, even if it is in that moment of going into my kitchen and smelling that joyful smell. Right, Chris?
Absolutely. Mary says, today is my husband Nick's birthday. He was born on Thanksgiving. Also, unfortunately, his daddy passed away when Nick was young.
All right.
Is there a message for him from the spirit world?
There is not, because it's Thanksgiving. We don't have time to give. Oh, maybe. Well, hold on a minute. That was unexpected. I have Gregor's hand on my shoulder. So I so I can tell you that there seem to be quite a few people calling out to your husband, calling out to you and saying happy birthday. And something about a cake that didn't turn out that well, and I have no idea what that is, and we don't have time to discover what it is. But there's something about a cake, an odd thing about a cake. You have to figure that out. I don't know. If you know what I'm talking about, let us know. All right, Chris, keep going.
Rhonda's asking, have you ever heard of holly bars? They are date bars with cherries, oatmeal, walnuts, and dates, and they are delicious.
Well, that all sounds great, and I love walnuts. When I was growing up, here's another little tidbit that none of you probably know. When I was growing up, we lived in a a small house on a very large estate, and in at the back of the house, really very close to the house, amazingly, was this enormous tree, and it was barely steps away from the back door. And this huge tree was a massive, great big spread of a tree, um, was was a walnut tree. Don't know what they call it. Is a walnut tree anyway. I don't know if that's the name for it, but anyway, every winter the leaves would fall. It would become very cold, and then as the leaves would fall, so that would be sometime in October or so, and we would, as kids, we'd scrabble in amongst the leaves and pick out the walnuts that had dropped, and then we would sort of bring them into the house. And this tree would sort of shed so much fruit. We had so many walnuts, and my mother would have uh, an old shell, which was something to do with the military and bullets or guns or whatever, and it was a big sort of brass shell that she kept the fire poker and all that stuff in. And we would take the stuff out of the shell and we would crack the walnuts with this heavy brass shell. Now that brings back some fantastic memories. We would be out there freezing cold, coats and scarves and hats and gloves and searching in amongst the leaves to for these precious walnuts that we would find and then crack. Unfortunately for me, now I'm not allowed to eat nuts anymore. They're very bad for me. They're very deadly for me, so I don't eat them anymore. I do. I'm making marzipan. I've told you that already, and I do eat. I love marzipan, but when I use almonds, and when I grind them so fine it's almost like a dust. So I convince myself that it's not so bad to eat that. I don't eat a lot of it, but I love nuts, but I can't eat them anymore. Not like I used to do. Anyway, but that sounds like a good combination of stuff. Yes, Chris.
VM says, I love you, Rosemary.
Well, thank you. That's so nice of you to say that. Well, I love the fact that you're listening to this show. I love the fact that you're joining us. I love the fact that you're all taking time out from your day, whether you're celebrating Thanksgiving or whether you're in a whole other country. I'd like to give a shout out to the lovely couple, brother and sister, who I spoke to from India. I don't know if they're watching. If they are, just give us a shout out here. But I love the fact that they told me that they do watch the show, so I don't know if they're watching or not. But so I know that we have people from all sorts of countries, lots of different countries around the world, and so just want to give a shout out to. Uh, well, I won't say his name because it was a private, but his name, like mine, begins with an R. So if you're listening, my darling, hi to you and to your lovely sister. Chris.
Gary says, how can I forget the many smells coming from your kitchen? Lamb and mint, one of my favorites.
Oh, well, for those listening wondering, and who is Gary? Gary is a really good friend of mine. Do you remember the moussaka I made for you as a surprise? He kept coming in and out into the kitchen, out, back out again, working with other people, helping me around the house, doing one thing or another. And I was making this moussaka right under Gary's nose. Now, Gary and I once went to uh, mainland Greece and a couple of the Greek islands, and he was helping me with the workshop that I was doing. And everywhere we went, in every restaurant we ever went into, he would always have the moussaka, and sometimes he would have it twice in a day. He loved it, and at the end of our trip there, we were sitting in a restaurant. Once again, he's eating this delicious moussaka, which is uh, ground lamb and cheese and different kinds of cheese and garlic and all this stuff that put together, the aubergine or eggplant as you call it here. Anyway, and he's eating this, and suddenly there was a big crash against the table. It was a wooden table, a big bang against the table, and he looked down. And then he looked up at me, and his eyes were wide. And I looked down to where he'd looked, and his belt had broken. It had literally he'd eaten so much moussaka that his stomach had swelled, and the belt crashed. We had to go out and buy him a new belt. Anyway, so when I made him, I was doing it secretly, but right under his nose. He had no idea what I was making until I said to him at some point, "Could you get me that dish out of the oven?" And as soon as he saw it, it's not. Is it? Did you? Is it? Is it really what? Is it what I think it is? Yes. We had some good times. Anyway, okay, keep going, Chris.
Gianluca is saying hello to you and Gray Eagle.
Bye, bye, darling.
Andrew says, I always preferred guinea fowl to the turkey. I might have something psychosomatic against it from childhood, where turkey was eaten on Christmas,
Yeah,
Boxing Day, and then in every culinary form you can imagine for the next week or so.
so true.
Sandwich, risotto a la Northeast England.
So, so true. We used to have turkey, or every Christmas we'd have turkey. That's what we would do. Most people in England have turkey for Christmas. And then on Boxing Day, which is the day after Christmas, for those of you who don't know, we'd have cold turkey and pickles, and that was always good. And then, yes, and then we'd take the leftovers and we'd sort of put them in a big pot with potatoes and carrots and onions and so on. And that big pot could, my mother used to make it go for a whole week. So by the sounds of it, you did the same thing. Yes, I'm not a turkey lover myself. I'd much rather eat other things. And most people, as I told you right at the beginning of this show, most people overcook their turkey, so you all end up with dry turkey. 15 minutes a pound. For those of you who didn't come in at the beginning, your turkey, set the oven at 350. Make it nice and hot at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what it is in centigrade, I've no clue. Maybe 180 centigrade. I don't know. Anyway, and 15 minutes a pound. So if you've got a 10-pound turkey, it takes whatever it takes. What did we say? 2.5 hours or something, plus 15 minutes over. So any longer than that, you'll end up with dry turkey. Any less than that, you'll end up with a turkey that isn't cooked properly. So please, if you're going to make a turkey, don't make it dry. Chris.
All right, this is from Rachel. First of all, thank you for sharing your experience. It is changing my life perspective so much.
Oh, good.
Sorry for my English, it's surely imperfect. 10
We're
years
doing well
ago,
so far.
10 years ago, my father contacted me from the spiritual world through a medium.
Oh,
That scared me, but at the same time, I stopped to fear death. I believe I'm an earth soul, a visionary soul, and I
Oh,
think I'm full of rage. But some people say that I just have too much energy that I don't know how to use. Even though I do meditate and do other spiritual exercises, sometimes I feel so clueless in what I do in my life that I prefer to disappear. Not sure that's a real question. Maybe just needed a greeting from you all.
well, I think I can explain a little bit about what's happening. If you are an earth sign and a visionary soul, my daughter's a visionary soul, we earth signs, we like to make plans and we like to take action. And of course, our plans are not don't always pan out for us. We also, being earth signs, we like to be doing something that means something to us and is fulfilling and interesting and something we can sort of get our teeth into a little bit. And I don't think it's rage that I'm feeling when I'm talking to you, my darling, but I do think it's a lot of frustration because as an earth sign, if you're in an environment or a situation where other people keep thwarting your plans, keep upending your plans, you're not going to get fulfilled and you're going to get very frustrated. Oh no, it's going to drive you crazy because we're earth signs, so we like to be doing all the time. So my suggestion to you is take a step back, take a breath, think about what it is that you'd like to do. Whether it's what you'd like to do for a day, for a week, or for the rest of your life. Think about the things that you would like to do, and then calmly take a breath and start to put things into action. I think that there is someone else in your life or other people in your life who perhaps don't want you to necessarily be so independent. And so, therefore, you're allowing them to thwart your plans, to upend your plans. So, as an earth sign, I promise you'll find your way slowly, but take a breath and don't, if it's something that's really important to you, don't allow other people to tell you, no, you can't do that. Chris.
Jillian says, I saw your link pop up and it reminded me to register for the Art of Spiritual Healing. So that's now done. I can't wait. Happy Thanksgiving Day to you all.
Oh, thank you. And for those of you who want to know when is it, Chris? Do we have the dates here?
Yes, it's on Saturday, December 17th from 1:30 to 4:30 p.m. Chicago time.
Okay, I don't know what that is, but is that Midwestern or something? I don't know. You'd have to work it all out. But the 17th of December, we're going to be talking about the art of healing. It's a webinar. You will, I think, be able to um, interact. I've got a hiccup, sorry. You will be able to interact. Oh, I need food. That's what I need. I need food. Still got that smell coming at me. So you will be able to, you need to call, Chris put up the link. If you go to my website, which is rosemaryaltea.com, you'll find all the information there that you need. But it's going to be a fun event. And yes, we're going to be talking about healing. And first of all, we're going to be talking about, those of us who are healers or those of us who want to do more of what we do or want to learn more or how to be a better healer or how to channel your energy and so on to be a healer. But we're also going to be talking about people who need healing and what they can do. How can you get healing? Where do you go if you're sick or if you just, need, if you're, even if it's your head or your emotions that are in disarray, where do you go to get healing? How can you make it better for yourself? So we're talking about that as well. So, if you want to know more about healing on either side, whether it's being a healer or whether it's being healed, and of course, one does not negate the other. You can be a healer and still need healing. So, so how does that happen? What can we do with that? How can nurses enhance their ideas of talking to their patients? How can doctors enhance their idea of talking to patients? So we're going to be doing that 17th of December. Chris.
Jillian, oh no, I just read Jillian. Rhonda says, last night as I was falling asleep, I had the thought of how thankful I am that I found your book, The Eagle and the Rose, in an antique store 2 years ago. You,
Antiques.
Rosemary, and Gray Eagle have been such a blessing in my life.
Oh, well, I'm laughing because, yes, last year we celebrated the 25th anniversary of the publishing of The Eagle and the Rose. And it is, people are still finding it after 25 years. People are, looking, so what is this book? I never knew that this book was even there, even around. It was a New York Times bestseller. It still is, of course. It became a New York Times bestseller, but then 25 years has gone by. But it's amazing because everything in that book is it, other people's stories, true stories, uh, seen through my eyes. Also, a little bit about my life and how I came to be doing what I'm doing. And everything that I wrote 26 years ago now still holds true today. It is, the book is considered by the publishing community, by the book selling community, and by all of us, really. It is considered to be a classic because after all this time, it's still going strong. People are still finding it. You can still buy it. And if you want to know more about that, well, just email Rosemary at rosemaryaltea. No, wait a minute. Yeah, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com or Chris, Kris, at rosemaryaltea.com and say, where do I get the Eagle and the Rose from? Where are there any more books? Does she have any more books? Of course. We just were talking about the lovely lady who said she was an earth sign and a visionary soul. Some of you are thinking, well, what does that mean then? How does she know that? Well, this very famous English woman, that's me, wrote a book called Soul Signs. It's a fantastic book. It's a fabulous book. And it explains to all of us how energy works. It explains why some of us get on better with our father than we ever did with our mother. It explains why siblings are either at loggerheads with each other or they have a fabulous relationship with each other. It explains why in personal relationships things work out or they don't work out. And it also helps you for those of you who are still looking for your perfect partner. It explains how you can find that perfect partner and what it is that you should be looking for in a person who is compatible with you. Most of all, I love this part. It explains about your kids, your grandkids. Uh, you'll look at your kids and your grandkids and you'll think, oh, yeah, well, when I look at my grandson, Reese, I know exactly what he is. We're so compatible. And it makes me smile just knowing what kind of soul he is and the kind of the makeup of his energy. But also it tells us about our animals too. So there we are. Enough about soul signs. Moving forward, Chris.
All right, Lorraine's asking, on holidays, do spirit loved ones come through to you more than other days?
No, just the same. In every way, every day, and in every way, I'm very fortunate that I'm able to see my father, my brother. I'm able to see whoever wants to come to talk to me. They don't come more one day than another. I think maybe if we are having a joyful time, which often happens through the holidays, our loved ones do come and join in with us then. So you might say, well, they're more inclined to come with us. I remember I was talking to someone the other day, and this lady desperately wanted to know, does my dad come around? And he said, I was talking to her dad. He said, no. He said, too much argument and too much upset and too much going on there. Why would I want to put myself in the middle of arguments? It depends on the atmosphere in your house. If you're fighting and arguing all the time, if siblings are fighting and arguing all the time, or if you're fighting and arguing with your spouse, instead of trying to communicate with somebody, all you're doing is screaming and yelling. Why would anyone want to come visit you? Makes sense, right? Now, I said this to somebody the other day. I was talking to Mary Lou about it, and she just looked at me. Really? Really? That makes a difference? Of course it makes a difference. Of course it does. Chris.
All right, this is from Crystal. I had heard a gunshot in my ear the other night. Then I smelled gunpowder. I'm
Oh,
assuming afterwards my brother just passed, and I was wondering if that was a way he was trying to contact me.
I'm sure that, well, you don't need me to tell you that. If you want confirmation, I'm going to give it to you. Absolutely, yes. Chris, keep going.
Lorraine says, do they celebrate the holidays in spirit?
Yes, absolutely. You didn't come, did you not come to our Halloween night? Oh gosh, we had so much fun on Halloween. We really did. And it was a silly night. My father and my brother let go these great big, huge, hairy spiders that were crawling all over the carpet coming towards me. They're not real, but well, my brother and my father were just having fun. Here you go. Here's something for you to get nervous about. And I think it was Chris's husband was jangling a skeleton, saying, "Ooh, you know, look at this. Here they're coming for you." We were just having so much fun. So yes, of course, those in the spirit world do celebrate. They celebrate with us. They commiserate with us. They whatever it is that's going on in our lives, they join in with us. Yes.
Rhonda says, yay, I just signed up for the Art of Healing thanks to the person that mentioned it and reminded me.
Oh, good. Well, Rhonda, we look forward to it then. Yes, I mean, please do check it out, everybody. I think you'll really love it. I think it'll be a fun time. That is December the 17th. And go to the website, rosemaryaltea.com. Go to the website and check me out. And I had occasion to say to somebody also the other day, you know, a lot of you have not seen seen me going through the exercise with the bottom brick, and it's a fantastic exercise. You can go and you can view that, or you can, you know, there's lots of things on the website that you can go and see and that you can go and view, and also, of course, check out my YouTube channel, and of course, what am I thinking here? Instagram. I put up a picture the other day of myself, my daughter, and my grandson. It's a picture, it's the cover of my cookbook actually. But I was going through my photos and I thought, well, it is Thanksgiving after all. I do not have a recipe for turkey in my cookbook, but I have great recipes for other things. But I just thought, you know, it's sort of the three of us together. We're all there in our aprons with our rolling pins. I think we're about to make shortbread because that's my grandson's very, very favourite. But I told him yesterday, I showed him the chocolate tort that I'd made, and he said, "Can we make one when you come for Christmas?" And I said, "Absolutely." So you might be getting some photos of that event. Plus, I sent a huge jar of mincemeat because you can't buy mincemeat easily in the States. What is mincemeat? I hear some of you asking. A lot of people think it's a savoury thing, but it isn't. It's a Victorian. They call them in Victorian times. They called them sweetmeats, and mincemeat is a combination of different raisins and uh, all sorts of things in there in mincemeat, but it's all sweet, and we make little pies of them. That's what we're going to be doing this Christmas as well. Chris,
The Queen of Shades is asking, I believe that I'm intuitive, but I'm not sure how to tap in. Do you have any advice on how to do it?
I do, but we're you know, unfortunately we're out of time. But what I'm going to suggest that you do is go to my YouTube channel and check it out. There are lots of healing um, uh, whatever it is. There's lots about healing. Let me put it that way. There's lots about how we can be more intuitive, and how we can um, raise our level of consciousness. And I think that's what you're looking for, because in order to be uh, we're all intuitive, but in order for us to, as you put it, tap into it, or to encourage it, or to become more sensitive towards it, we have to raise our level of consciousness to a point where we can achieve and connect in a much stronger way, and a much more positive way. So raising your level of consciousness is, I think, is what you need to be looking for. So go to my YouTube channel, because I'm sure there'll be plenty there for you to go through. And if you're curious and you really want to know, that's the place to go. Yes.
All right, Julie has a comment/question.
Okay,
Angels,
Julie.
angels don't pose as family members or take on appearance to help people pass over. It would actually be family members, I think. Something I heard on a video regarding the afterlife. So there, she's looking for a comment.
Well, I don't quite know what you're saying. I don't quite understand what it is you're saying, my sweet. Let me do it this way. An angel is an angel, wings and halos and all that stuff. Do they exist? Absolutely they do, because I've seen them loads of times. Now, if you'd have asked me 30 something years ago, I'd have said, I don't know. It's possible, but I don't know. But having seen them and been involved with them, and had the experience of them, I can absolutely tell you, yes, they do. I do believe they exist. Um, but an angel, a true angel, is a messenger of God. They're not here for us necessarily, unless God requires them to be here for us. So basically, God, or that God force, that universal God force that is out there, will send our angels to us to help us in times of need and so on. Now, uh, just a few days ago, I had occasion to talk to a lovely lady who'd lost her husband. They're both young. She lost her husband, and she has three sort of teenage kids. And her husband said to her, let me see if I can get this right. He said, "I asked permission to be your angel." So, although he is not a messenger from God, he says he asked permission to be the angel for herself and for her family, because he was so close to them, and they were so spiritually connected, that he was given permission to to, let's say, act as an angel of a kind, of a sort. We often think that our children, who perhaps we've lost a child, we think that that child might be our angel, and they are in a way, because they do guide us and they do steer us. They're not our guides, they're not our angels from God, but they are ours, and they do help us, and they do guide us, and they do steer us. So, if we want to call them angels, why wouldn't we? Why not? As long as we know the difference. But so this guy actually said, and it's only recently, just a few days ago, that we did this. Uh, it was on Wednesday, and he said to me, he wanted his wife to know. He said to me, "I've asked permission," and was given permission to be their angel. How nice was that? Anyway, I don't know if that's answered your question, but it's as close as I can come to it. And I think, on that note, talking of angels, and just again talking of Thanksgiving, I think, I mean, I can't ruin my vegetables. What can I tell you all? I'd like to say thank you to all of you who joined, those of you who are celebrating Thanksgiving, and those of you who are not. Find something in today to celebrate, can you? Just find something to be joyous about. Um, so thank you for joining us. I'd like to say thank you to Chris. I'd like to, of course, say thank you to Grey Eagle, as always. We shall be back on Saturday morning with our story time, and I have no idea what story I'm going to tell you. We'll think about it later. But in the meantime, everybody, please have a very, very blessed rest of this day. Have a very blessed weekend. And hopefully, until I see you again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And many blessings from me on this Thanksgiving Day. Um, many blessings to all of your loved ones in the spirit world. Many blessings to all of you. Please, everybody, have a very, very blessed rest of the day. Bye bye.